Have you ever looked into the eyes of the woman you love and felt something change? Something you couldn't name, but you knew it was there? One day, her laughter felt like music that filled the room. But now, it feels rehearsed, polite, almost distant. You ask her what's wrong, she says, nothing. Yet inside your gut, you feel everything is slipping away. Men rarely talk about this moment. The moment when the warmth of a relationship turns cold, not overnight, but drop by drop, until the passion that once felt unstoppable becomes a quiet, suffocating silence. And you wonder, why does this happen? Why do women who once looked at you like you were the center of their universe suddenly seem distracted, detached, almost bored? The truth is brutal. Women rarely get bored in a relationship out of nowhere. It's not about you buying her flowers one week or forgetting to send a text another. It's deeper, buried in the psychology of attraction, connection, and emotional need. Men are taught to chase, to win, to conquer. But what no one tells you is that keeping her interested is a different battlefield, one where strength looks nothing like you imagine. And if you miss the signs, she doesn't leave because she stopped loving you. She leaves because she no longer feels alive around you. You see, women crave more than comfort. They crave emotional spark, a sense of growth, a reminder that they are still desired. And when a man forgets that, when he settles into routine, when he becomes predictable, something inside her begins to fade. Not because she's cruel, not because she's ungrateful, but because human psychology is wired this way. What is predictable feels safe, but what is safe, over time, feels boring. So many men confuse loyalty with complacency. They think if she's still there, she's still fulfilled. But look closely. Boredom in a woman is not silent. It's hidden in the way she no longer argues, the way she avoids deep conversations, the way she fills her time with friends, social media, or anything but you. And the question isn't just why women get bored. The real question is, what role do you play in creating that boredom without even knowing it? Most men think boredom in a woman is her problem. They assume she's ungrateful, that she's impossible to please, or worse, that she's already looking for someone else. But here's the reality. Boredom is rarely about another man. It's about the man she already has, and who he has stopped being. When you first met her, you didn't just show up. You brought energy, curiosity, a sense of adventure. You wanted to know everything about her, her favorite songs, her childhood stories, her dreams. You made her feel alive because you were alive. Somewhere along the way, though, you stopped playing the game that brought her to you in the first place. This is where most men fail. They believe winning a woman's heart is a one-time achievement. But for a woman, love is a living thing. It needs air, fire, movement. When you stop growing, when you stop leading, when you stop surprising her, she feels it. And slowly, her mind drifts elsewhere. Not necessarily to another man, but to another version of herself. The version that felt excited, desired, and full of possibility when she first met you. She isn't leaving you for someone else. She's leaving you for the man you used to be. Psychologists call this the novelty effect. Human beings crave variety, not just in experiences but in emotion. A woman doesn't get bored because she's tired of you. She gets bored because she's tired of the version of you who stopped evolving. And that's where the silent distance begins. She laughs less at your jokes, not because you're less funny, but because she's heard the same story 10 times. She doesn't dress up for you, not because she doesn't care, but because she no longer feels like it matters. She avoids intimacy, not because she doesn't desire closeness, but because her heart is craving something deeper than routine. Here's the truth no one tells men. Women don't want perfect. They don't want endless gifts or hollow promises. What they want is emotional presence, leadership, and the thrill of knowing they're still chosen every day. If you think she's bored because you didn't take her to a fancy dinner, you're missing the point. She's bored because she no longer feels like she's with a man who inspires her to feel alive. There's a hidden truth about women that men often ignore until it's too late. Women are emotional historians. They don't forget how you made them feel, especially in the early days. The first months of a relationship are like a permanent record in her mind. Every moment of excitement, every risk you took to impress her, every time you looked at her like she was the only woman in the world, that feeling gets tattooed on her heart. And when she compares that version of you with the man who now sits on the couch night after night, distracted, unmotivated, and predictable, the contrast is painful. It's not that she stopped loving you. It's that she feels like you stopped showing up for the man you once were. Boredom in women is rarely loud. It doesn't always show up as shouting or threats. It often shows up as silence, and that silence is deadly. She still cooks dinner. She still sends a text to check in. She still sits beside you, but her heart is somewhere else. It's a slow withdrawal, like a flame running out of oxygen. Men mistake this silence for peace, but it's actually the warning sign that the relationship is dying. What keeps a woman engaged isn't just love, it's growth. If she feels like the relationship has stopped evolving, she'll start to feel stuck. And women fear feeling stuck more than they fear being alone. This is why you see women walk away from men who never mistreated them. The man was kind, stable, maybe even generous. But he stopped inspiring her. He stopped leading her into new experiences. He stopped creating the emotional adventure that makes her feel like life with him is an ongoing journey. And here's the part that hurts the most. Women don't always tell you they're bored. In fact, many women would rather drift away than say it out loud, because admitting it feels cruel, even to them. So they hope you'll notice. They hope you'll feel the distance and do something before it's too late. But most men don't. Most men confuse loyalty with satisfaction. They assume that because she hasn't left, she's happy. They don't see that every day of her quiet withdrawal is one step closer to goodbye. And the scariest part? By the time you realize she's bored, she may already be emotionally gone. If you've ever wondered why she feels different but can't put it into words, it's because boredom in a woman hides behind small, almost invisible shifts. She doesn't usually wake up one day and announce, "I'm bored." Instead, she leaves breadcrumbs, subtle signals that most men are too blind or too proud to see. And ignoring those signals is the fastest way to lose her. The first sign is emotional distance. When a woman is engaged, her eyes light up when she talks to you. She asks questions. She leans in. She wants to share her world. But when boredom creeps in, those conversations shrink. She becomes less curious, less invested. She gives short answers or none at all. She isn't being cold, she's disengaging. Another sign is distraction. A bored woman starts to pour her energy elsewhere. She'll suddenly dive into her career, her hobbies, or her phone. At first, you may think she's just busy, but deep down, she's redirecting the attention she once gave you. Pay attention to the moments you're together, but she feels absent, as if her mind is somewhere else. That's not harmless. It's the slow withdrawal of her emotional presence. Then there's the change in conflict. Strangely, when she stops arguing, that's when you should be most worried. Passionate arguments, while difficult, mean she still cares enough to fight. But when boredom sets in, she chooses silence. She avoids confrontation because she no longer sees the point. She's not trying to fix the relationship, she's trying to endure it until she decides whether to leave. Even intimacy reveals boredom. It's not just about the frequency of touch, but the quality. The warmth, the fire, the desire that once burned naturally, now feels forced, mechanical, or absent. She might still go through the motions, but the emotional spark has vanished. And here's the cruel part. Men often misread these signals. They think she's moody, hormonal, or just stressed. But a woman's boredom is rarely about one bad week or a rough patch at work. It's the accumulation of months, sometimes years, of unmet emotional needs. The needs you once fulfilled when you were chasing her, but have now forgotten in the comfort of routine. The tragedy is this: she doesn't want to be bored. She wants to feel alive with you again. But if you don't notice these signals, if you don't act, you're teaching her that you'll never bring that spark back. The mistake most men make when they realize she's slipping away is thinking they can fix it with grand gestures. A weekend getaway, an expensive gift, a sudden burst of attention. But here's the truth: boredom isn't cured by fireworks. It's cured by consistency, by becoming the man who creates an environment where she feels emotionally alive every single day. So how do you do that? First, you must reclaim presence. Put down your phone. Look her in the eyes when she speaks. Listen, not just to her words, but to her tone, her pauses, the things she isn't saying. A woman can tell in seconds if your attention is divided, and nothing kills her attraction faster than feeling invisible to the man she chose. Presence costs nothing, but it communicates everything. Second, embrace unpredictability. Routine kills excitement, but small doses of surprise revive it. This doesn't mean buying her roses every Friday. It means breaking patterns in meaningful ways. Take her somewhere new on a Tuesday night. Send her a text in the middle of the day that makes her laugh. Share a dream you haven't told anyone before. Women crave novelty, not because they are fickle, but because novelty reminds them life with you still has chapters left to be written. Third, never stop growing. The version of you she fell for wasn't finished. You had goals, drive, hunger. Somewhere along the way, many men get comfortable. They stop improving. They settle into a predictable rhythm of work, eat, sleep, repeat. And while stability feels safe to you, to her, it feels like stagnation. When you grow, physically, mentally, emotionally, you reignite her admiration. She doesn't want a perfect man. She wants a man who refuses to stay the same. Finally, lead her into shared experiences. Adventure isn't always about skydiving or climbing mountains. Sometimes it's about cooking together, learning a new skill side by side, or simply having a conversation that digs deeper than surface-level updates. When you create moments where she feels connected to you, she stops looking for excitement elsewhere. Understand this: boredom is not about her falling out of love. It's about her longing to feel alive again. And the man who can awaken that aliveness is the man she will never get bored of, because every day with him feels like both home and adventure, safety and thrill, all at once. If you take one thing from everything I've said, let it be this: women don't get bored because they stop loving you. They get bored because they stop recognizing the man who once made them feel alive. Love is not a trophy you win once and then place on a shelf. It's a fire that needs tending, or it burns out, and boredom is the silent extinguisher of that fire. Think about it. The man you were when you first met her, the energy, the curiosity, the hunger, you didn't show up that way because you were trying to impress her. You showed up that way because you were fully alive in your own life. She was drawn to that spark. She admired it, craved it, and wanted to be near it. Over time, if you let routine crush that energy, you don't just lose her attention, you lose yourself. So here's the challenge. Stop waiting for her to reignite the flame. Stop blaming her for drifting away. Take responsibility. Step into growth again. Become the man who wakes up with purpose, who carries himself with direction, who treats every day as an opportunity to evolve. Not for her approval, but because you refuse to stagnate. When you live like that, she feels it, she sees it, and boredom has no space to survive. Women don't want perfection. They don't want endless comfort. They want to feel something. They want to feel chosen, desired, and led into a life worth living. If you can give her that, not just once, not just when you're afraid of losing her, but consistently, she will never look at you with empty eyes again. She will look at you with admiration, with passion, with the same excitement she felt the first time she realized you were different from the rest. But let me be brutally honest. Most men won't do this. Most men will watch their woman slowly fade away, then blame her when she's gone. But if you've listened this far, maybe you're not most men. Maybe you're ready to take the harder path, the path of growth, leadership, and presence. Because if you are, then not only will your woman never get bored of you, but you'll never get bored of yourself. Now, I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever noticed a woman slowly pulling away from you, not with anger, but with silence? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to hear it. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more, and share it with a friend who needs to hear these truths before it's too late. They get bored because they stop recognizing the man who once made them feel alive. Love is not a trophy you win once and then place on a shelf. It's a fire that needs tending, or it burns out. And boredom is the silent extinguisher of that fire. Think about it. The man you were when you first met her, the energy, the curiosity, the hunger. You didn't show up that way because you were trying to impress her. You showed up that way because you were fully alive in your own life. She was drawn to that spark. She admired it, craved it, and wanted to be near it. Over time, if you let routine crush that energy, you don't just lose her attention, you lose yourself. So here's the challenge. Stop waiting for her to reignite the flame. Stop blaming her for drifting away. Take responsibility. Step into growth again. Become the man who wakes up with purpose, who carries himself with direction, who treats every day as an opportunity to evolve, not for her approval, but because you refuse to stagnate. When you live like that, she feels it, she sees it, and boredom has no space to survive. Women don't want perfection. They don't want endless comfort. They want to feel something. They want to feel chosen, desired, and led into a life worth living. If you can give her that, not just once, not just when you're afraid of losing her, but consistently, she will never look at you with empty eyes again. She will look at you with admiration, with passion, with the same excitement she felt the first time she realized you were different from the rest. But let me be brutally honest. Most men won't do this. Most men will watch their woman slowly fade away, then blame her when she's gone. But if you've listened this far, maybe you're not most men. Maybe you're ready to take the harder path, the path of growth, leadership, and presence. Because if you are, then not only will your woman never get bored of you, but you'll never get bored of yourself. Now, I want to ask you something personal. Have you ever noticed a woman slowly pulling away from you? Not with anger, but with silence. Tell me your story in the comments. I want to hear it. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep it to yourself. Like this video, subscribe for more, and share it with a friend who needs to hear these truths before it's too late.